On the Hustle Show, we got Michael B. Jordan, the director and the star of Creed 3. And we know each other. We go way back all the way to Chad Science in Newark, okay?
The Corny kid, right?
No, I did not say that. Misquoted for sure.
No, I heard it.
No, you did not hear me say. I said we used to make fun of the name. But yeah.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Crypto plus Passports equals Freedom. I'm your host, Ohini Mara. Before we get started, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Also, leave a comment and share this video so we can attack the YouTube algorithm and grow this channel. And with that, let's go ahead and get into today's topic. So today we will be discussing how Michael B. Jordan got the greatest revenge on L'Oreal. So before we talk about that, let me get started with a little story about myself. I grew up in Queens, New York, and basically I grew up in a poor household. We didn't have money like that for fashion. I couldn't do, hangouts. I couldn't go out with friends that very often. We had, obligations at home, but we were not a rich family. We grew up poor. I grew up in the projects. And, basically, you guys know what that means. It's a lot of struggle involved and, things of that nature. So we didn't have money for a lot of, clothes, a lot of, activities and things like that. Now, the reason this is important is because you have to understand that in Black communities specifically, I don't know about, I can't speak to other cultures, but in Black communities, basically, it wasn't about the content of character when you were going to school. It was about what you were wearing. And you can put in the comments if I'm telling the truth about that if you grew up in a Black community. So it really was not about who you were on the inside. It was more about what you were wearing on the outside. So pretty much what I'm saying is if you could not afford the Jordans, you couldn't afford the designer labels, you were pretty much considered whack and, like L'Oreal would say, corny, right? So if you didn't have the money to buy the designer labels, pretty much you were on the outside looking in. The ladies did not care about if you were a good guy. They didn't care about the content of your character. They didn't care about, if you were a respectful young man and if you were doing good things. They pretty much wanted the drug dealers, the thugs, the dudes that were, going against society, right? These were the rebels and things like that. So they were not interested in good men. They were interested in the guys who were pretty much going against the mainstream of society. So the drug dealers, the thugs, the criminals, all of those types of guys, they were the ones that were getting the ladies. If you were educated and you couldn't afford labels, basically you were an outcast. Nobody cared. They called you a nerd, a dweeb, anything like that. So that's pretty much how I grew up in Queens. So there were, of course, a few ladies who took the time to tease me about my clothes. They would harass me. They would laugh at me. Pretty much anything you could think of. It was not a good, experience in a lot of the schools that I attended because, like I said, we were poor. We couldn't afford these types of things. We had to basically focus on education. And luckily, I grew up in a household with both of my parents, and their focus was to get me to focus on education. And of course, you don't understand that when you're young, but I am so thankful to my parents to this very day because they helped me build and understand what was more important. Despite the fact that, I had those negative experiences growing up in those types of communities, now as a man, I can see what they were trying to do. And even though they didn't have the money to give me those types of things, I am appreciative to what they taught me in terms of education, thinking, and being able to do for self. So thank you, mom and dad. But let's keep this going, right? So guys, I just want you to know, like, basically with that experience, these ladies, they made me feel bad. They were relentless. As a matter of fact, many of the girls, they wouldn't date me because I wasn't any of the things that I mentioned. I wasn't a drug dealer. I wasn't a thug. I wasn't a criminal. So I wouldn't get dates like that when I was in, school. And I'm talking about all throughout school. I'm talking about junior high school, take your pick. right? So why am I talking about this? This brings us to Michael B. Jordan. So as you guys know, there was a recent conflict involving him and this radio host and interviewer known as L'Oreal. So pretty much she comes up to him and she pretends that they are good friends, despite the fact that she was instrumental in some of his childhood traumatic experiences. She teased him when they were younger, and she wanted to pretend that none of these things happened. And she comes up to him and she interviews him and she says that we go way back, and she doesn't, even want to admit that she was a part of some of his trauma. And he took that opportunity to confront her directly. This was on the Rocky, or rather the Creed, red carpet event. And this was the moment that he confronted her directly. And he taught her a valuable lesson. And I think we all must learn from this as well if we haven't done so already. So guys, when people are looking to kill your drive, they're trying to survive, basically surround you with negativity. They want to throw dirt on your name. These are the moments that you don't quit. You never let the words get to you. You use this as fuel to feed your desire to win at life. Michael B. Jordan, he didn't allow her words to destroy him. He got the greatest revenge on his childhood bully. And you guys, if you haven't already, can do the same thing. Gentlemen, his greatest revenge was to do better. He went from being called corny to starring in movies, to being named the sexiest man alive, and dating some of the most beautiful women you can possibly think of. He used that negativity that was directed at him, and he used it as fuel and energy to do better in life. And that is the greatest revenge. He basically did what was necessary to win at life. And now when you look at his accomplishments, you look at the fact that he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and he did it quicker than a lot of other actors. Guys, you are seeing that his revenge is the best and the sweetest, and that's what you do in life. And when he confronted her, she actually had the nerve to lie about it.
Just the bully narrative is crazy. The narrative is definitely still pushed. I feel like I admitted exactly what I said. And then even those words got turned around. When I told the story, it was super lighthearted. It wasn't even in the sense of me breaking down the entire school experience. FYI, we went to school together for 1 year. So the narrative that I bullied him all throughout high school, this was 7th grade. We were like 12 years old, and everybody made fun of each other.
So this is the lesson, guys. When people doubt you and they try to tell you you can't do something, or they try to actively stand in your way, remember the lesson Michael B. Jordan has given to L'Oreal. You don't get mad. You know that the greatest revenge in the world, the sweetest revenge in the world, is to do better. And with that, guys, that is the end of the video. Tell me what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree with what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments section. And thank you so much for joining us for another session. And until next time, take care.